Hello there. Hope you are ready to learn about area of quadrilaterals and area of triangles. Just to review, quadrilaterals are polygons that have four sides to them. All right, a good idea would be to have some graph paper out, and you can take notes on the graph paper. You're also going to want your calculator out for towards the end of this video to do some of the problems. So pause the video until you have those two things out, and then let's go. All right, so finding the area of a rectangle, we're going to start with that first. We can call a rectangle a quadrilateral. We can call it a parallelogram because it has two sets of parallel lines here. And you've learned how to do this for many, many years. Area, remember, is how many square units it is. So I think of area as how much does space is covered. The other thing you're going to be talking about is perimeter, and remember, perimeter is the outside of the shape. So today is just area. The area of a rectangle, you need to remember what the formula is. Oh, there's the answer. Right here. So I'm sure you've heard the formula is base times height. Sometimes you may have heard it be length times width. It doesn't matter. We just need to multiply these dimensions right here. So if you hear the word dimension, that means the side length. So we can call this the height and the base, or we can call it the width and the length. Both are the same. Here's just a way to write it as a formula. A stands for area, base times height. So if you look at the base of this rectangle, you know that that would be, oh, we're not doing the base first. Sorry, we're doing the height first. The height would be 2 units, and the base would be 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So you multiply 2 times 4, and that's how we get 8 inches squared. I have a feeling you already knew all of that before I even told you. So let's move on to just some practice problems. So first thing I want you to do is this. Draw a rectangle on your paper. You have graph paper, so this should be easy. Has a length of 7, width of 5 units. So pause the video and do that right now. So hopefully your rectangle looks like this, 5 by 7. The next step you need to do is find what the area is. So label the dimensions and find the area. Pause the video so you can do that on your paper. Hopefully you came up with 35 units squared. Make sure that you are labeling things with whatever the unit is. In this case we don't know, so we just say units and then squared. So area of this rectangle is 35 units squared. Okay, I have another one for you to do. Draw a rectangle that has an area of 40 units squared and a length of 8 units. So I'm going to make you go a little backwards here. You know what the area is. You know the length, and you can probably figure out I'm going to be asking you what is the width. So pause the video and draw this rectangle, labeling it. Alright, when you're done, hopefully it looks like this on your paper. So we have 8 by something equals 40 units. Now to draw this, you had to figure out what that was, and so I'm assuming you got the answer to be 5, because 40 divided by 8 is 5. Or you might ask yourself, what times 8 is 40? Looks like I have one more question here for you. Ha! What's the width? We know the width. 5 units. Easy peasy. Alright, let's move on. Maybe. There we go. Alright, so a parallelogram. A rectangle is a parallelogram, and this is also a parallelogram. The difference here is that it does not have 4 90-degree angles. Kind of looks like a rectangle being blown over in the wind. So we know now that's the area to find a rectangle, and actually it's the exact same formula to find a parallelogram. You do base times height. Now you have to be a little bit careful on this. With a rectangle it's easy. Our base is here, our height is there. But if you look closely, you know that the area of, the base and height form a 90-degree angle. Sometimes we use these little boxes here to kind of show. I'll try and line it up here. Yep, there we go. So you see how that's a right angle? Now over here, it's really hard to find where that right angle is, because this right here does not form a 90-degree angle with the base. And it has to. Your base and height have to be perpendicular. If I try over here, nope, that doesn't work. So you got to be careful. That's not your height. Your height is actually right here, straight up and down. So if you put this here, here's that 90-degree angle. So you're going to want to draw a line right there. That's your height. Here's an example of why it's base times height. So here we have a parallelogram and kind of the same shape. I drew my line right here, and I'm going to take this off and put it around over here. If I do that, I've made an exact rectangle. My area has not changed at all. It's just rearranged a little bit. So if I go back here and you look and you say, well, what's the base of this parallelogram? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you know it's 6, and what's the height? Well, if you can't see that that's the height, think about moving it over here. This is your height right here, 1, 2, 3. So 6 times 3 is 18. 18 that way, 18 this way. So that's why we can still do this formula to get a parallelogram. So this is kind of the trick that you need to remember. Ooh, whoops, I don't want that there. You always, always, always have to have your height and your base perpendicular. They have to form a 90-degree angle. If they do not, then you know what? That's not going to be your height. It has to be straight up and down. So now on your paper, I want you to see if you can find the area of the first parallelogram and the second one. Be careful. First thing you need to figure out, what's your base, what's your height. Pause the video, put your answer down, and then check it. All right, so hopefully for this first one, you found out that the base was 12 and that the height should be 3. Just to remember, your base and height have to be like this. So that's how you know it's going to be 3 and 12. It's not 5 because that does not form a 90-degree angle. So if we check your answer, you should have gotten 36, and hopefully you labeled it feet squared. For this one, again, you know your base is 4, but what one is your height? So hopefully you're asking yourself, which one forms the 90-degree angle? Is it that one? Nope. Is it this one? Yay! All right, so 7 times 4, you should have gotten 28. Again, did you label it? Feet squared. So for this one, you have A through G. You're going to find the area of all of these shapes. So with the grid paper, it actually makes it a little bit easier because it's not labeled. So here's your base. And again, not your height, but your height is going to go straight up. And that's how you can find your height. It's right there. For C, here's your base. And your height, again, is going to be right there. So find the area of all of these parallelograms. When you're done, check your answers. Here are your answers, so check to see how you did. If you got any of them wrong, just double check. Like for example, for G, your base down here is 2, and this one is really weird. Your height is going to be right here. So actually no. Where's your height? Oh, here you go. This one gets confusing. Your height actually goes all the way up here because that's the top of your parallelogram. So your height is actually 2. That one was kind of confusing. What do we have next? All right, so this one, whoops, that shouldn't be there. I'm making you work backwards. Remember, I always make you do problems forward and then backwards. So here, I'm giving you the area and the base, and you have to come up with the height. So you should probably be asking yourself, if I have this be 3.5, what do I multiply 3.5 by to get the height? It's kind of hard to do that one in your head, so you can think about it this way. So this is our formula. You can plug in the numbers that you know go with each variable. So area is 7.7. We know the base right here is 3.5, but we don't know the height. Now you know how to solve equations, so you can just think about this. Remember, you do that. The inverse operation of multiplying is dividing. So you're going to not multiply by 3.5, but you're going to divide. Oh boy, I have to write. Look out. It gets really sloppy here. Whee, 3.5. Ah, can you read that? I hope so. So divide both sides by 3.5. So right here, that equals 1, and 1 times h, we now have h. And then on this side, you might want to grab your calculators, and 7 divided by 3.5. If you figure it all out, you should get that the height is 2.2 centimeters. Now what I always do, and just like if you solve equations correctly, go back and double check. So do 2.2 times 3.5 and see what you get. It should be this right here, hopefully. If not, well, I did something wrong. Let's check the bottom one. So I gave you the area. We don't know the base, but we know the height right here. So again, set up your formula. Set up an equation that you have to solve. If I'm going too fast at any time, just pause it. So we know area is 58. Don't know the base. Height's 14.5. So first thing you want to do again, solve the equation. Instead of multiplying, you're going to divide by 14.5. If you divide by 14.5, grab your calculator, see what you get. Divide that by 14.5, divide this by 14.5. Oh, sloppy. It's really hard to write on here. That equals 1. 1 times b, you have b. And what does b equal? Check it out with your calculator. 58 divided by 14.5. If you do it right, you should have gotten the base equals 4 feet. Then just plug it in and try it. 4 times 14.5, you should get it. All right, next we're going to go into triangles, but I think we're going to run out of time, so we're going to do this on part 2. So stay tuned. This video will be continuing on. See you in a bit.